Welcome back to the GMBN Racing News Show, everybody. With the release of the 2024 UCI Mountain Bike World Series venues and dates,
we thought we would dive on in and see what we've got in store for us next season across XC, DH and Enduro.
Right then, we've got 21 races across 3 different disciplines, not including the World Champs, and we're going to be going everywhere from Brazil to Poland. So let's kick things off with cross-country.
So there are 8 XC rounds in 2024 across both short track and the Olympic disciplines in the XC, and that's kicking off in Brazil, so a return to that continent after the Petropolis round in 2021. We've got 2 brand new venues for the fans out there. We'll be then heading over to Europe and finishing the season off in the US and Canada.
Yeah, now interestingly, there's 8 rounds of XC, so that's the same amount of cross-country races we had going on this year.
Yeah.
All rounds are sharing Olympic and short track disciplines, so each venue is going to have both races at it. And like you said, we kick things off in Brazil, then we head to Novi Mesto, an absolute classic round before Leogang, Crans-Montana in Switzerland, the Haute-Savoie region of France. Then we got a bit of a gap, don't we?
Yeah, and that is to allow for the Paris Olympics. So that will be taking place on the 28th and 29th of July, which accounts for that many-week gap.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a necessity, shall we say, so the riders get a bit of a time to prep, shall we say, ahead of the Olympics. Once we've done with the Olympics, it's on to the World Championships in Andorra. We'll then be heading back stateside to North America, where we've got Lake Placid.
Watch out for those crocodiles.
I was going to say that. Great film. And also Mont Saint Anne in Canada, rounding out the season once more. A really interesting looking calendar we've got coming for next year. What are we sort of thinking about the venues? We've got old, we've got new, we've got a bit in between there. It's going to be exciting, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing the Brazilian rounds. The race there 2 years ago was really cool to watch.
Yep.
The fans are amazing. I think Avancini's kind of hype that they've built around like his team and all of that, and seeing the Mexican riders in the top 10 as well. Just
Uchoa, the Mexican rider, I believe.
Yeah.
Uchoa? I think I pronounced it correctly.
And he had, I think, his first top 10 this season in Pau Aransal.
Yeah.
So just exposing more, giving the chance to riders from that continent who wouldn't necessarily travel to Europe to race a World Cup, and just it develops the sport in that region of the world. That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And then sort of like we said, we're back to Europe for a big chunk of racing. Obviously, we've got Olympics in Europe, we've got World Champs in Europe. So it's a lot of, it's very Euro-focused middle part of the year. I mean, good for the riders. It means sort of cutting down a little bit on travelling. It's generally venues that everybody knows.
Yes.
And obviously we've got Crans-Montana in here as well.
Yeah, which, I mean, the Swiss riders will know. It was their national championships this year, which is a really exciting race to watch. So that was all the hitters, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Some big guns.
Yeah, and that's going to be the World Champs next year. So it's a chance
25.
Yes. So the rest of the international field gets to race that as a World Cup for the first time, which is cool.
So a bit of a preview. So yeah, I think a really exciting XC season ahead of us. Really intrigued to see how these new venues go, how these old venues are maybe going to get tweaked, if they are at all, or just stay sort of those classic Novi Mesto kind of tracks that we know and do love, to be fair, because they always churn out great racing. So yeah, really exciting. But moving on to downhill.
Yes.
On to downhill. We've got 7 rounds awaiting the riders. That's down 1 round from this year, where they had 8, of course.
Yeah.
It's quite Euro-focused, but we do have a round in Mont Saint Anne again, rounding out the season.
We do. I think that worked really well this year, actually, in terms of the time of year it was, and for just in Canada, it was just the most beautiful race to watch. That was really cool. I think everyone really enjoyed that.
The conditions threw up some great racing as well,
definitely.
Across sort of cross-country and downhill. We do have the inclusion of another new venue, though, over in Poland, where it is Bielsko-Biała.
Yeah, it's going to be so great to kind of open up that region. I think there's such a heritage in Eastern Europe of these like crazy freeride videos like really high level racing, but
because they got the hills for it, right?
Yeah,
they got the mountains,
and it's seemingly the kind of rider base and fan base for it. But we haven't seen the World Cups travel there before, to my knowledge. So
no, there's never been. Cool. You're right. There's never been a World Cup, as far as I could dig around, held in Poland. So yeah, really exciting. We're obviously going to kick things off. Classic Fort William, May 3rd to the May 5th.
Yeah, maybe just before the midges.
Just before heading to that new round in Poland. Then it's on to Leogang in Austria, Val di Sole, Italy, the Haute-Savoie, obviously back in France, Ludenvielle, France, and then on to Mont Saint Anne. So, like I said, middle part of that season, a lot of that season, obviously Euro-focused, middle part, sort of mainland Europe. good tracks in there. You know, Val Sole, Haute-Savoie proved really popular in the end, especially, you know, world champs, crowd favourite there.
100%. And Louisville as well, I think, went super well. It's nice to see at least one new track, but then maybe not overloading riders too much. We only had one new venue in the season just gone as well. It's a nice balance of like something fresh for everyone.
Yeah.
And especially for the teams travelling around to not, you know, they know what they're doing and they can make it work, and it's nice.
That's it. So interesting actually on that team front. So there's been rumblings on social media and things, you know, a few riders and teams a bit gutted. There's one less round, there's less kind of exposure. It isn't as worldly as they would like. A lot of that I've seen is from the larger teams. I think, however, obviously, times are tough across the industry. So I think this plays into the hands of some of the privateers, some of the smaller teams where the budgets are definitely less. And it means that maybe before, where they weren't going stateside, South America, wherever, that actually now they might be able to do an entire series.
It's going to be interesting to see if there's any potential format changes next season as well, across like how many riders in finals we have, semis are sticking around, that kind of thing, which obviously everyone loves to speculate about. So whether it balances out, like yes, riders might be able to afford to go to all the rounds, but are there going to be fewer opportunities to make it to the final? You know,
I mean, all things we're going to have to wait and see.
Sort of half dozen of one, six of another, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to find that out. So on to Enduro now. So 6 rounds await the riders. That's down 1 from the 2023 season, and they are going to be all in Europe. So from Finale to Haute-Savoie, and sharing a round with the downhill venue in Poland. Big thing.
Yeah, a World Series based in Europe. That's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Because obviously there have been publicly Enduro teams that are closing down.
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, this is a sign of the times, as we sort of touched on before in downhill. You know, there are great venues in there. We've got Finale, we've got the new Polish venue, we've got the Haute-Savoie region again, we're off to Valais in Switzerland. So it's, you know, I'm hoping that we just get a really good solid series. We get a big old following back. Enduro kicks off. It smashes everything else. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But that is basically your 2024 venue season dates roundup, everybody. What are you looking forward to? XC, downhill, Enduro, what are you thinking, Isaac?
All of it. Can't wait for mountain biking to come back.
Yeah. Remember, you can watch everything here. Stay tuned to GMBN Racing and on the GCN Plus app to catch everything as it happens. But from us for now, we'll catch you next time.